Hey everybody, I'm Asian Funk. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm joined by Myke Dela Paz all the way from Manila, Philippines. He is an international custom figure artist and owner of Phoenix Force Creations. Myke, welcome. Thank you for being here. I know that. Yeah. So you're in Manila, right?
Yes, in Metro Manila.
Metro Manila. That's cool. I've never been to Manila. I've only been to the airport.
All right.
Because I have family that live in Cebu, so you have to go to Manila first before you go to Cebu. So we always
Fair
just
Island.
yeah. So that's cool. Yeah. So do you want to just kind of talk about what got you into customizing action figures?
Yeah. Ever since I was collecting when I was kid, you watch these cartoons, right? Then I saw these magazines, Toy Fair. Do you remember those? Toy Fair, Wizard, and then I see the action figures, and then I go to the malls, and then there are toys. So I really got into more into action figures, and my other cousins were like cars or robots, because with action figure I could play with them. After graduating, and I was able to work in a hobby shop.
Oh,
It's
okay.
because they sell these miniature games like Warhammer, and then they have the paints, and they have the paintbrushes and stuff. And so I learned from it, and then I started painting miniatures. And then there was this HeroClix game, if you know it, like Marvel.
Yeah.
So I played those, and then I repainted those. So it made me refine my painting skills from the smallest details on the HeroClix scale. You know how the small they are.
Yeah.
I'll show you. This is one of my recent sculptures in miniature piece. This is inspired from a fan art design.
Oh,
It's
okay.
and on Pro. So I'm showing you Marvel Universe custom that I made a few years ago. This is the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's so great.
So the flame effects are made from like a combined flame effect from the Bandai Tamashii effects. And then I got some Phoenix head from the HeroClix figures. Okay, and then this is the Jean Grey. The hair is sculpted, but the body I used is the boss fight Vitruvian hat, if you are familiar with that. And then when I combine them, I always consider the proportions, the height. So I always consider like it should be like these 8 heads, and then when you have the arm span, it should be proportionate to your height also. So I always consider those. And then I also consider the height differences from the other characters. Like Cyclops is supposed to be taller than Jubilee, of course, and then Jean Grey is taller than Wolverine, and then Beast is bulkier than the most of the rest of them. So I always consider those. Recently, I've been buying a lot because of the quarantine. There's just I cannot go out, so when I see some people selling online, okay, I could use this and then introduce it in the future, and then inspire them, and then put it in my stock. So normally before, when I have a project in mind, that's when I think or brainstorm on what figures I could use. Right, I browse the shops and then see. Let's see what could be the best use on this particular body or particular head or something like that. When I can't get what exactly I want from the shop, I try to get the best part that I could change into something that I intend to, like let get a particular head to get this with this proportion, so I could resculpt the face or the hair or like the chest or the hands or the legs into what I intended to be for a particular custom design.
Yeah, so when you are working, when you're customizing a character that has unique pieces, you don't have that. You have to search for it, right?
Yeah. Before, because I just we call this kit bash, so we just put parts together. And then I wasn't content with those. So I just want, if I want like a particular design to be accurate, so I not only kit bash parts together, I have to resculpt certain areas with specific details so it gets to the accuracy I want for a certain design. So, for example, Lilandra, I see people like just putting the head of Lilandra on a silver sable body, and okay, wow, I have a Lilandra. Okay, that's good. But for me, I want it to be as accurate as possible as I have seen it in the comics, in the trading cards, in the art. So I use that silver sable body, and then sculpt Lilandra's armor details onto it, and
Oh.
then add the cape, and then uh, paint the face with more details because it's just for me. I don't want it to be just like how the factory does that. So I want my okay. That's one thing that made me customize toys because I want to be unique.
Yep.
So you want to impress people. Like, it's normal, right? It's
Yeah.
you impress your people, your friends with your collection. But nowadays, like we have social media, and then people post their collection. I see them like, it's the same. So I want it to be unique from all of these collections that are the same as mine. So I want my action figures to look more different or like more detailed than the usual figures that we see. So I want it to be as detailed as possible, as accurate as possible, and then as proportionate as possible in my own life for my own liking. So it started as a hobby. So I post this online, and then people get inspired. People wanted their figures to look like my figures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I got into more customizing as commissions for other people.
What is the one thing that you do that makes it unique? Like what is it that you, how do people know that it's like it's your style of custom? Like what do you do something to all your figures that is unique?
The faces of my figures, I intended to be more lifelike. So it has more life in them.
Yeah, yeah.
So the hair also, maybe that's one thing that's distinctive in my customization is the hair, especially on the girls.
Yep.
Because I want in the comics when we read the comics and see the art, most of these super heroine characters, their hair are glorious, like they're flowing,
Yep.
they're wavy. But mostly on the action figures, especially on the earlier releases, we don't see this hair as glorious as is in the comics. So like Storm or Phoenix or Rogue, their hair is just like basic and
Yeah,
flat.
it's one piece, or like it's only 3 strands.
Yeah, like that. Because it's understandable because it's a factory mold that's making them limited to that design. So I wanted my customs to be something that it's hard for the factory to produce. Like
Yeah. Yep.
this can only be done in a specific handicraft manner.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted the hair to have more texture, more separate strands, more dynamic, like more lively. Like when you post them together or do toy photography, action scenes on them, it has more life. So that's where that's what is my motto in the Phoenix Sports creation. So I was inspired to use the Phoenix Sports name.
Mm.
Reason here is like I was fascinated with the Phoenix Force with the Phoenix power and from death to life cycle. So it's like killing the toys. you, Toy Story, like you kill the toys that you get body parts from, and then you create new life
Mm. I
from
like
it.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's like you're resurrecting, right? You're resurrecting them.
Resurrecting into something new and better because it's the shadings of the eyes. I got that idea from like I saw from cosplaying as well. because I put makeup on myself for cosplay. So when you like to get these characters like resemblance, or you put contours on your face, like you put shadings on your nose, and then you put highlights on the certain areas of your eyes, and then the nose, the forehead, like to bring out like something two-dimensional looking piece into something more three-dimensional. So it's like optical illusions, like the shadings.
Yeah.
Because when something is very small, you don't see the details from afar. So I got that ruling from painting miniatures like Warhammer and Heracles. I say, there's this 3 feet rule that when you see at least or at most 3 feet the figure, it has to show the detail, and that is brought out by putting the highlight shadings that cannot be just seen when each of the parts is just plain with it's painted with a one plain color. So like the human faces, it's just not one plain color. If you paint your face just one color, like let's say green, it wouldn't show really your most of your features. But when these ladies are makeup artists, we see in the internet today, they put uh, contours on certain areas. They put highlights, like they put different shadings to bring out the beauty of their face.
Mm-hmm.
So I got those ideas. Okay, that's how they do it. So like let's say for the actors, they have this makeup for the sets also, right? So I try to mimic those in making them look better in in an action figure. So like here, these are my Avengers. If you can,
Yeah.
these are my Avengers action figures that I have repainted already. I don't know if it's clear.
Yeah. I can see them.
Yeah, it's because of the light. And then there is this my favorite trio from Star Wars.
Oh, of course.
Okay. It's hard to see the details of their faces in this echo. And then there's my prize custom collection in the X-Men movie.
Oh yeah, the original X-Men movie. Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think when I was looking on your Instagram, I think your female figures are definitely the ones that stand out the most. Like they're the ones that they already look good, but I think they also like capture the character um, more. Like it's almost like, especially if you stage them and you have like a nice background and everything, like it looks like either from a movie or a comic book. And sometimes you can't even tell it's a figure. It looks like an illustration.
Okay, yeah, that's another thing that I intend to do with my post. So I don't just like to post like taking a picture of them in somewhere random, like in your desk. I want to present it in a artistic way as much as possible. Like I want to recreate like comic scene for there like posing like a magazine shoot or like a comic cover or like a fan art or art piece. So I staged like, yeah, you're right. I staged a background, uh, accessories, element, and then when I take pictures, I always consider the lighting. Like the lighting has to bring out all the details that needs to be seen in this costume. Like I don't like dark. Let's say some toy photographers like shoot their figures in almost black and then they just see the highlight. Well, that's good for most action figure, but for my work, I want the custom figures to be seen in their entirety, like all of the details from the head to foot. Yeah. But it's not just like direct lighting, like flash photography. Like you have a direct light, but I want it to be more dynamic. So I put two different light sources, like one on the right, on the left, sometimes at the back, and then I put mirrors on the front to reflect on the areas that are dark.
Yeah.
So you can see it. You can see it in most of my posts. And then on the post processing, like I just add certain effects, like power effects,
Yeah, like sparks or lightning or something, right?
sparks or lightning, and then sometimes I blur the background a bit so that the focus and emphasis go to the action.
Mm.
So I'm just gonna show you the Emma Frosts that
Oh
I
yeah,
still
yeah,
have.
yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw this in my story. Okay, here is one. There, it's too
Okay.
bright.
So wait, so that's one. You have another one?
Yeah, I have. It's in my cab. No, it's my. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, I like your shirt, by the way.
Where I'm placing them temporarily.
Sure.
Do you see them?
Oh yeah, wow. There's three of them.
Those are just three. So that's Phoenix 5 version, and then this is the astonishing X-Men version.
Oh
And then
yeah.
I have one more already in the package. That's the Secret Empire version. And then I have one in the making, which is the new X-Men version from Grant Morrison. So this is the work in progress.
Okay.
You can see. So that's how it looks like at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. What's the hardest character to do?
To date, I think it's the X-Men movie characters. Because since the body molds does not exist, because they have these toy bees released before in the 2000, but I cannot really use them because the bodies are smaller and then has lesser articulation. So when I made them, I started with Jean Grey. I started with Jean Grey, and then I had to use certain body parts from the MCU line, like Wasp. And then, okay, I see a potential. I have the head from the Toy Biz, and then I see the potential in Wasp because of her proportions. And then I have to make her taller. So that's a lot of work. You have to make Wasp taller in the body. So you have to extend the torso. You have to extend the lower legs, the lower arm, the forearms, and then you have to scrape off all of her Wasp costume details.
Mm.
Okay, that's the process. So you scrape off all the details to make it as thin as possible so that when you put the new sculpture using putty of the entire outfit of Jean Grey from the movie, it won't make the figure big.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, there's like a ribbing, there's a pattern, and then
Yeah.
there's the stitching. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's there. And then I have to consider the height as well for this Wolverine. I have to make him taller.
Oh yeah, yeah, because he's like 6 feet.
Yeah. So aside from that, when you put the sculpting, you have to make sure that the figure can still move as it should. Like it moves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not just one pose. It's still articulate.
Yeah. The paint.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There, but they can move with more action poses as they could possibly have.
Yeah, yeah. So what happens
without the paint chips or paint rub?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what happens if you're given a challenge like, okay, what if someone requests like, oh, I really like Blob from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, right? Like he's just like he has a unique body because it's not like a generic, torso.
Yeah.
He's like a ball. So what do you do in that situation?
So okay, let's say I took up the challenge. I have to create first the framework of the body. So since his body does not exist, let's say I'm not going to use the existing Build-A-Figure blob. So I have to think about the joints, how big they should be, like shoulders, torso, and hip joints. That's the basic parts. So I have to think of existing joints that are as big as those, and then put them in a torso. let's say I have a base torso, and then I put the joints. Let's say here I have this back, the onslaught. So let's say this is the main torso. So let's say I create a mock-up of that torso with an open area for the head, the shoulders, and the hips, and the mid-torso. So put those joints like Frankenstein skeleton joints, and then when I have built that, it can extend to the limbs, and then I sculpt over the mass of the body over it.
Got it. Got it.
Okay, that's what I did when I made an Odin figure out of a Colossus, because he's supposed to be bigger and bulkier. So I used the joints of Colossus, cut certain areas, and then put them together. That includes the joints, and then I covered all of those with the putty so I can build the mass of his body.
Yeah. Wow. So how long, like on average, does it take you to do one custom figure?
Okay, let's say if I do it straight, like without resting,
Okay.
it could take 16 hours or maybe 24 hours, depending on the level of detail it requires. But it takes longer than that because there's drying time. It's not like what you see in like the fast forward videos. Like you do this and then it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, first, you need to brainstorm. Let's say I was given
Yeah.
a project, you need to brainstorm. Okay, how do I do this figure? You brainstorm what parts you could use, what's the best face you could use, and then when you have those parts, first, let's say for Emma Frost, like I use dagger.
Yeah.
Because the body box is white and Emma Frost's costume is white. So that's a consideration. So you have lesser problems with the joint if it's the same color as the custom figure you're doing it. Okay. So first thing is that cleaning up the joint. So you disassemble them. So you could like I remove the torso and then eventually I remove this and the shoulder part. So I could sand the parts. Like clean this area so it gets lesser volume so that when you put them together with the paint after painting it, the paints don't touch each other. And because if you like when I was a newbie before, I just paint and then I just put it together. And then I noticed that when I move them, the paints are scratching each other because there's not enough space for them to move. So I learned that you have to get into this process of customizing, that you have to clean all of the joints so that when after you paint them, you can still move them freely without damaging the. You start from the back. Start from the back because it's the under part. So start from the back. You can see here the details here. You start from the back and then you go up. The
Oh,
side,
so you're layering on top.
layering. So you don't put a solid mass and then you just cover it over because you'll have a problem on the other part. So you start to have an effective texturing and dynamic layering. You start with the lower part and then subsequent layers that goes higher up to the front hairline.
Interesting.
Because they go on top of each other. Like
Yeah.
goes on top of the hair over here.
Wow, that's incredible. It's funny because it's like in order to do what you're doing, you have to know a little bit about like makeup, chemistry. You have to have really good hand-eye coordination, and you also have to understand the character, right? Because just because you're good at sculpting doesn't mean that you understand the history of the character. Because that's
Well, it's an advantage because let's say when I have a character project that I don't know about, I try to Google it first and research about it, what this character is about. So I have a background or feel on how I can execute this character efficiently. Like I have this I put myself into that character. How should I look? Like how awesome should I look? So I look for more references and then I read about it a little, basic reading like oh, this character does this, his character's powers are like this, his claws are like this, or his facial expressions are always like this. So I consider all of those elements when making an action figure costume.
Mm.
Yes, there's always room for improvement. That's a motto. There's, there's always something to improve. Like even if it's really really good. But for me, I always wanted to be extra, so I wanted to do something. I always wanted to do something more about a certain figure.
And what character do you enjoy doing the most?
Okay, yeah, it's a no brainer. So it could be Phoenix.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. It's Jean Grey. No, because I was Jean Grey is like a childhood crush, and then I was fascinated by the character, like different costumes and the red hair. The attractive red flowing hair. Yeah, and also in the comics, like she's always have this vibrant hair. And then eventually, Emma Frost, runners-up Emma Frost for Jean Grey. I always get excited when a client asks for a custom that I haven't done, like a version of her or a costume of her that I haven't done.
Mm.
So this year, there's a lot of those. Like I tell potential clients that I would prefer something that I haven't done before, that costume that I haven't done before. So because it could be a new challenge that I have to tackle with compared to doing something that has already been done before. It's like not as exciting as doing something for the first time.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I always wondered, like I was trying to think, is there a character that you haven't done, but you're waiting for someone to request? Is there a character that you're waiting to do that you haven't done yet?
There's a lot. There's a lot. There's too many to mention. Like in Marvel, uh, yeah, there's too many to mention. Like let's say for the X-Men, you could ask it. Like let's say, uh,
Well, you already did my favorite, which was Evil Morph.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
because
I've always wanted to do those. So since I haven't got the time, I wait for someone to ask me to do it. So I'll be compelled to
yeah,
finish it.
yeah, yeah, motivation, right?
Yeah. So yeah, for the X-Men movies, for my personal collection, my plans, I wanted to do the entire series. Like if Hasbro is not producing them, I'll be doing it. Like Kitty
Mm.
Pryde, Ellen Page, Kitty Pryde, uh, Emma Frost from First Class.
Oh yeah,
I want to
yeah.
do Psylocke from X-Men Apocalypse. And then I wanted to make action figures of the Sony Spider-Man. Like I'm finishing a Tobey Maguire
What?
here.
Um.
That wasn't mine. So I wanted to
Oh.
make I wanted to make for myself.
Oh.
So
Okay.
this one
Wow.
I'm working the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is for it's on Spider-Man 2. So the figures they have is mostly the first movie. So I'm making a Spider-Man 2 version. And then I wanted to make a Mary Jane uh Kirsten Dunst action
Ye-
figures that is compatible to the MCU Avengers and the X-Men that I made.
Oh. Okay.
So
Okay.
that is that is the one answer to your question, that I want to make movie action figures in
Yes.
this scale, like 6-inch scale. I also wanted to make the Andrew Garfield and Emma
Yep.
Stone
Yep.
action. Emma Stone doesn't have an action figure yet as Spider-Gwen from the movies. I intend to make that too.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. 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 That does. Yeah. That does not exist.
Yeah, so
That's
I wanted
cool.
these figures to exist. Like it's like the nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And the reason why these toy companies don't do it is because it's too expensive to license the celebrity face, right? So they don't do that. But
Yeah,
that,
also they consider the demand. Like it should sell like as much as the boys or the famous ones like Batman, Wolverine. But I wanted to make these less
less
popular
known. Yeah.
uh, characters to complete my set, something like that.
Sure,
I
sure.
wanted to make, I wanted to make like a universe of 6-inch figures in my collection. Like when I can put them together in one toy photography scene. They're all there. That's like a vision or a goal to me.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. You're gonna need a bigger shelf.
Yeah, a bigger shell or a bigger diorama. I also intend to make more dioramas so that I can put more characters in it in a single picture.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Wow. Yeah, that's nice because that's something that that doesn't exist, and you have like unlimited possibilities. Like there's just so much you can do with that.
Yes.
That's cool. All right. Well, you know what, Mike? We've been talking for an hour. I don't want to take up too much of your.
No,
I don't want to. I thought this would only be 30 minutes, but I am really glad it went for an hour because I'm like I was very interested in like how you do your work.
I hope I was able to give insight.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It makes me want to go buy or start making my own toys.
Oh
How
yeah.
can?
Speaking of your, I made an action figure of myself.
Oh, that's amazing. Hold on, let me put you on the big screen here. Okay.
Okay. This is I made this back in 2014. I have a shorter hair that time. So this is the 3.75 version. This is myself.
What
And
year? What year?
2014.
2014.
Okay. So this is I used a GI Joe base on this, and then I made the proportion so that I'm smaller than the superheroes. You know,
Oh,
Asian
it's
boy. Yeah.
art.
So I have to
Yeah,
make it
hi.
smaller than the heroes. But then I hand painted. What's special here is that aside from my face that I sculpted, I hand painted the giant size X-Men characters over the shirt.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Okay,
That's
it's not
cool.
it's difficult to see here, but you can see it in my Instagram.
Okay, I'll show it. I'll show it in the video.
Okay,
That's
there you go.
awesome. Okay, okay. So last question. Last question. If um, and you don't have to answer this, but if I wanted to request an action figure of myself, how much would that cost? You don't have to answer
Oh,
it. So because you do, I mean, has anyone asked you to do a custom action figure of themselves? Have they asked
a
that?
lot, a lot.
Really?
After I made this figure, and then I have my best buddy. I also made him an action figure of himself. Then I posted, and then of course other people would want. Problem is, if it's not a celebrity, like if it's a normal person, unlike celebrities, you see their face. I have to get to know them first, see their faces every time because I have studied their angles and different.
Right. You've seen
Uh,
them in many movies, so you know what they look like.
yeah, and you could watch those movies over and over again so you could see the angles of their faces, right? Unlike a regular person, they just send you pictures and then it's hard to. I'm not that an expert to recreate something entirely with the perfect likeness yet. Not really that good so far.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. So I was wondering, like, do you just print out pictures of celebrities and then you sculpt it, or do you also you watch like film to,
Yeah, I watch films and then or TV episodes and then I screenshot a certain angle that I need.
Oh, that's clever. That's good.
Okay.
Yes, yeah,
So
yeah.
so for the price, it would be a little higher than I usually charge for my custom tickets.
Got it. Okay.
Because because it takes longer because you have to capture the face. Get it takes more effort to do that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
one of a kind. So
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. Okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind if, if ever at
you
some
want
point.
your own.
Who, I
Okay.
mean,
It really takes a long time, like because I have a full line. And then when someone asks me personalized one, it really takes a long time because you really have to brainstorm and think. You know, as artists, you really have to get into the zone
of
before
course,
starting something and
you have to be
then
inspired, right?
yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who wanted to start getting into customizing figures? Like, what would you tell them? Like,
Okay. Okay. First, you need to know the basic materials. So it's okay to ask for the materials, but uh, asking for specific details doesn't really help. So you really have to learn from the basics. So if they give you basics, follow that, and then you can experiment and practice from there. Because I learned in my personal experience, I learned from mostly from scratch and from experimenting. Like I watched videos that's available, and then I asked the basic ones. And then I have to do the practicing myself because I don't want to rely on step-by-step methods because I want to discover it. Like, let's say I get the basics and then discover it. If I see something wrong, lesson learned. If it's do something right, do it better. But explore, experiment, and keep practicing. That's the tip I can give to customizers. Don't be afraid to explore and experiment. And then when you discover something, keep practicing on it so you could get that.
Okay, where can people follow you? You know, if they want to follow your work.
Okay, most of my work, it's on Instagram and then Facebook, but in Instagram, it's just all my work, no, not none of my personal posts. So my Instagram is at Phoenix underscore creations. Uh, there.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll put it there. I just wanted to
sorry. Uh, at Phoenix underscore force underscore creations.
creations.
Okay, you see it all there, and then you can see work in progress in my stories, and then you can comment some of your questions, and I answer when I can. I could give you tips there when you ask certain questions on some part of the custom. I could answer.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Myke. I really appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy your lunch.
Thank you, and good evening. It's night
Yeah,
there, right?
yeah. I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, Myke. Take care. Thank you. Let's talk again soon. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.